Alright, hello Salma. I am looking at your research report and I'm doing this by video. It's a little easier for me to do it, and a lot of my students tend to like seeing this done like this because it's kind of like looking over my shoulder as I grade it for you and evaluate it. So let me know what you think if you'd like to. I welcome feedback. Okay, first thing I notice here is you get this excess spacing here. So what you want to do is you just want to put your cursor in here, hit delete. Take out you don't want excess spacing. Okay, it should all be double spaced. Now, this part here, I don't know if that's excess space or not, like this here. But what we can do to find out is we can put our cursor here, for example, and we can go up here and click this button and see where it says add. If that said remove space, then that's where we'd be concerned. So since it doesn't say remove, I'm going to not worry about those. I'm going to put it here, see what happens now. See, it still says add, so evidently there's no issue there. It just looks a little weird to me, but that's okay. That's just me. Now, the other thing you need to fix here is you need to make sure you capitalize all the major words in the title. Okay, that's the only thing you need to do to fix the title. All right, since taking office for the first time, Donald's misspelled here, so you want to fix that spelling. Okay, introduction looks pretty good. Okay, so your your introduction does not appear to have the thesis statement at the end, or at least not quite the way it's supposed to be according to the sample or the guidelines. So make sure you review the sample and guidelines back in week 9 and fix that so that you have a solid thesis statement there. Because the thesis statement should begin with something like, this report seeks to blah, 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 right? So you want to make sure you fix that per the sample and guidelines. All right, now presumably this is your literature review, so you need to have a title there. You need to go here and you need to put your cursor here, go down to the next line, and you need to put literature literature review. I'm not going to spell it all out. You know what to do there, but put it right there just by itself and put it in bold. Okay, that way that's your subheading. Okay, so you do that. Trump signed an executive order during his first week issuing a travel ban. Okay, you should have a comma here. So be careful with those commas. Maybe take a look at the comma rules again if you need to. Just remember that a big hint to whether or not you should have comma is if there should be if it naturally feels like there's a pause there, that should be there. Notice that when I read this straight through, barring entry into the United States from many Middle and Eastern countries, including, so feel that slight gap there. There's a slight timing difference there because including is kind of adding a new thought. So that tells you that the comma should be there. That's kind of the little hint that the rule of thumb. Muslims, I think, should probably be capitalized, right? That's probably what it's saying there. Yeah. I would say and change multiple to numerous. It doesn't need to be capitalized, but I think maybe the word numerous might be better. Well, that's up to you. Multiple, I guess, would work. Just felt like numerous might be a little better, but that's up to you. All right, so now that you are in the once you get into the uh, literature review, you need to start having sources to back up the stuff that you're saying. And I'm not seeing any sources cited in the paper yet at all. So you've got to make sure that you cite anything that comes from a source. All this stuff like this here, all this stuff that if it came from a source, you have to cite it, okay? So what you need to do is you need to take another look at the sample to see how to cite those things properly, or take a look at uh, the video in the supplementary videos titled Integrating Sources. Those will show you how to properly integrate your sources and introduce your authors and stuff like that, okay? So you have to do that throughout these body paragraphs especially. Yeah, anything that came from a source, you got to cite it, and I'm not seeing hardly any source. Now here, this almost certainly came from a source, right? And here you even quote them, but you don't have sources, so you got to cite the sources. Now you never put a period outside the quotation mark here. If this is supposed to be ellipses, then you would put all four ellipses in here like that, and you would delete that one, okay? But since this is probably from a source, that actually probably should have a parenthetical at the end with a page number, paragraph number, and then your signal phrase. You should have a signal phrase that introduces each source citation with the author's name. Okay, so again, take a look at the sample, take a look at the integrating source video, or take a look at the Easy Writer and see how that should look and fix those things. Definitely needs a lot of citations. Okay, so what this looks like is a lot of background where you're basically just listing all the things that he's done. You probably don't need to go that far. You probably don't need to talk about every little thing that he's done. You could just say that you could give maybe one as an example and then just say he's done many others like this, and then go into whatever you're wanting to state next. Okay. Yeah, so this almost seems like it's all just your lit review, and you're done. That's all you got done. So you definitely have to go back and make sure you're following that sample to understand how you should be writing this, what you should be putting in the way of subheadings, like I said up here about having a subheading here for the literature review. You definitely need to take a look and use the sample and to how to do that. Now you also need to fix these. These are not properly cited and not properly formatted. So again, take a look at the sample to see how these should look, or take a look at the Easy Writer to see how this should look. Okay, so fix those things, and then what you need to do is you need to go through and you need to fix everything on this document that I've mentioned. Just write on this same document, fix everything I mentioned, and highlight. This is really, really important, Salma. You got to highlight everything that you fix, right? So, do like when you fix, for example, when you fix this, when you add that heading in here that says literature review, you'll want to highlight it with the highlighting tool, which is this guy right here. No, that's the font color. You want to highlight it, so you'd use this one here, text highlight color. And just highlight it with the green highlighter, yellow, whatever, as long as it's legible, and you can still read the words under it. And then over here from that, you'll need to put a note, an annotation, that tells me what you did. So, for example, you'd simply put the note over here saying added subheading. That's it. That's all you need to do. But you need to do that for everything you fix so that I can tell what you fixed. All right? If you have questions, need help with any of this stuff, just let me know, and that will do it for this video.